Good day, everybody. Dave Walker here again with the Beat SMB Institute. And in our continued celebration of the magnificent nominees that we have across our many different Best to SMB categories, I think the category that I am most proud of is one we invented actually last year, and it was the category of small business assistance. And it was really meant to elevate and hold high those in our community who were doing the most and the most effectively to help small business during the crisis that has been the last 18 months. That is hopefully showing signs of recovery, but we never know when it comes to viruses. I am most pleased, as one of our nominating judges said, that on this particular category of small business assistance, what I love about Small Business Silver Lining is that they actually helped small businesses in a smart way, where the really big guys that frankly are also nominated in the category didn't necessarily do as intelligently. And I think that is the best way to summarize. Carissa Reiniger, welcome, founder of Small Business Silver Lining.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. It's such an honor to be here. I said to you when we saw the nomination that, so what people don't know about Silver Lining, I think sometimes on the outside, is like, we are a team of 30 people. We have no funding. We are self-funded. Our revenue went down 80% on March 20th of 2020 because we made our program Pay What You Can. And so we got through COVID with like heart and hustle and nothing else. And so when we showed our team the nomination and the brands that we were nominated alongside, it was a significant moment for us because, all of our counterparts, all of our co-nominees, got that nomination with probably 1,000 times more money and resources and people than we did. So it's an honor. It's an honor, and we're proud of the nomination. So thank you.
Yeah, and I mean, and just to spell it out, you guys were nominated alongside Google and Bank of America and PayPal and Amazon and JP Morgan Chase. And not that those very large enterprises, there's anything to be taken away from the small business assistance initiatives that they did. No. But you're absolutely right, Carissa. I mean, they did it with massive budgets, massive customer bases, massive reach and impact that they could do. And here you are, from a much smaller position doing very, very smart things. And that's what we really want to talk about today. But as I think I've said to you, there's so many new members of the Institute. I don't want to presume that even since May that everyone knows who you are and who Silver Lining is, even though you've been a frequent contributor to the Institute. Why don't you give everyone just a brief 411 on the background of your enterprise?
Sure. I'll try to be brief. We know that's hard for me. So let me give you, we'll do the highlights and then we can dive into the areas that we should. So the short version of a long story is that we are two companies as of 2021. So our primary business is a tech-enabled SaaS platform based in behavior change science that helps small businesses set and hit financial goals. So my background's in psychology, and through a long journey, I've been doing this for 15 years, through a long journey of working with, thousands of businesses around the world and in partnership with lots of organizations, many of whom are members here, have developed very strong data-based opinions around, what small business technical assistance needs to look like to truly be effective. So we've really been on a mission to modernize technical assistance, delivered in a way that is aligned with behavior change science and in a way that is sort of affordable and accessible and can reach anyone in any small business anywhere. So that's our core business. At the most boring, truest level of it, we're a SaaS company with a program that helps small business owners set and hit financial goals. Kind of complementary to that, or right beside that, access to capital for small businesses is a big issue, obviously. And we partnered with financial institutions for a long time. And I always had a strong opinion that in order to actually change systems of injustice and move capital in ways that meet the true realities of small businesses, we really had to question credit scores, cash flow based lending, looking at financial statements, asking for collateral. I mean, a lot of the things, well, all of the things that are really the basis of lending right now, all around the world. And instead lend based on behavior. And so we launched a lending fund, a finance company in January of 2021, deep in the midst of the insanity that was COVID. And we are issuing term loans to small businesses based 100% on 5 behavioral data points without looking at any credit scores, financial information, anything else, and they're unsecured loans with fair interest rates to small business owners. And so we basically have these 2 separate companies, sister, trying to solve for what I believe are 2 of the biggest issues facing small business. One is, how do we give them the right support that will actually allow them to succeed? And 2 is, how do we get them access to the capital in a way that meets their needs? So that's our core businesses. And then in addition to that, we have what we call our global commitment to economic justice. So we are doing a significant amount of work around helping small businesses from marginalized communities in the US and globally. And then we have what we call our global movement to celebrate and support small businesses, which is Thank You Small Business. And we do all sorts of things to basically create wow experiences, celebrations, acknowledgements of the contributions that small business owners make. And so throughout the last kind of 18 months of COVID, the pressure obviously rose on all 4 of those. The need became more extreme. The ability, or I shouldn't say the ability, the urgency to do what we do bigger and better and faster just grew and grew and grew. So that's what we've been focused on, is bringing all of that to life in a way that met the moment.
So let's unpack that last point a little bit. In each of the kind of 4 segments of your portfolio, how did the needs change as the pandemic and its impact really took shape? And how did you adjust, basically? If you did adjust, how did it just become, hey, they need this even now more than ever, exactly the way we deliver it? Or were there adjustments? How did you respond in kind of the core SLAP offering, and then the core, the institutional financing offer, and then what you were doing from your different global initiatives in support of underserved communities, and finally in the very, very large campaigns that you did celebrating small business?
Yeah, it's interesting. You and I were speaking earlier, and I mentioned that we had this really interesting perspective of sitting sort of in the middle. We were talking to small businesses, I mean, every day, all day long, 20 hours a day, and hearing the reality of the crisis they were in. And then we were in conversations with the types of people who are members of the Beat SMB, Institute, right? The brands, the governments, the corporations who we often collaborate with. And it was a frustrating experience because the needs were so clear from small businesses, and they were so simple, and the solutions that were being delivered, I think, were well-intentioned but missed the mark in a lot of ways. And I really think that the needs of small businesses were the same that were there before, but amplified. And to me, the 3 biggest things were they needed to protect their cash flow. I mean, cash was going to be a disaster for all of them. There were all sorts of surveys and stats that came out, as we all know, at the beginning of the pandemic. The average small business has less than 27 days of cash flow, et cetera. So the first thing we did, knowing that that was just going to be true, is we made SLAP Pay What You Can in mid-March of 2020. And we knew that our revenue would take a massive hit, and it did. So our revenue went down 80%. Right then and there, and is softly, slowly, but barely coming back 18 months later. And we made a commitment that we wouldn't do it as a bait and switch. We wouldn't do it as a user acquisition strategy. We would do it because it was what was needed, and we would leave it that way until it wasn't needed anymore. And it's still needed, quite frankly. It's not needed. So just because I'd like to see our revenue go up doesn't mean that I can. I mean, we need to protect these businesses. So that was the first thing. I think the second thing I really saw, really saw, is that they just needed understanding. Like, they needed someone who got it. They needed a cheerleader. They needed someone who believed in them, someone who said, I see you. It's freaking hard right now. I'm in it with you. I see you. And so we spend a lot of energy and time around community, being with them, extra time on calls, being available 24/7, opening up new chat lines, like just anything and everything we could, so that if they needed us, they could get to us easily. And then I think the third thing was really around the idea of trying to be strategic around how businesses could support each other. It became really scary for a lot of people. It became very lonely again, but in a different way. Revenue was dropping across the board. So creating economy, like actually being very intentional about saying, okay, if you buy from you and you buy from you and you buy from you, you'll all get more sales this month and you'll all get your needs met. So we did a lot of work that was very, very practical around saying, all right, who's here in this world that we operate within? What's the economy we can create within it? And how do we try to actually move money really practically so that everyone gets the money they need to pay their rent and get their kids their, whatever they need. So those are the three things that we saw. Those are not new things for the record. They're just things that they needed even more because the situations got so much more difficult.
Talk a little bit about, and I encourage everybody to go watch a terrific session that we did really featuring your I Love New York initiative with Spotify. That's a terrific session. But give us kind of a thumbnail in 3 minutes or less of what that initiative was, what you guys did, how you birthed it, how you actually brought it into the market, how you really engaged Spotify as a partner, not a sponsor. Just walk us through that. It's a great story.
So the very short version of a very long story is that in January of 2021, I got on a call with 3 friends of mine and said, we need to do something. It's close to the 1-year anniversary of this, catastrophe. What do we do? Who do we do it for? What's the right move? And we quickly sort of got to New York City. 1, I've lived in New York for 13 years. I love New York. 2, I always say, New Yorkers have a special brand of resilience, and they also had a special brand of COVID. I mean, New York was hit very, very hard. And so when you think about small business owners that deserve to be recognized, supported, celebrated, and that really actually needed that extra support, New York small businesses went through the ringer. So we made an announcement on March 18th, 2021. Our ideas were not fully baked, but we wanted to get out there. That was the 1-year anniversary of the lockdown in New York. We had 0 funding, a team of 3, me using, all of Silver Linings resources to do whatever I can. But it reminds you, at that time we were a team of 18, doing a lot of other things as well. And we basically did a press release and said, we're accepting applications and nominations for small businesses from all 5 boroughs, any background. And the only criteria is you stayed in New York City, you didn't leave, you innovated to meet the demands of the time, and you helped other people. Not only did you go into self-preservation, you tried to help your community. And we said, we're going to give away prizes to the winners. We had no idea what we were doing, but we announced it. Hundreds of applications came in and nominations. It was beautiful. I mean, inspiring stories across the board. Between March 18th and May 23rd, we interviewed all of those hundreds of applicants, chose 100 winners. We're very conscious about curating that group of 100 so it represented all 5 boroughs, diverse backgrounds in terms of race, religion, gender, association, industry. So it's the true representation of what makes New York special, in my opinion. And also tried to figure out what we're going to do for these 100 businesses that we chose. And credit to so many people, GoDaddy came on board and gave us, free .nyc URLs for all the winners. Broadway.com came on board and gave us $500 gift cards to Broadway for every single one of the winners. We had all sorts of just cool people that said, I'll help you, I'll help you, I'll help you, I'll help you help them. And so we were able to put together a $10,000 prize pack for each small business, which is $1 million in-kind prizes that we gave each of the winners, put together a press campaign, put together an e-mag featuring the winners, and released all of that on May 23rd. So from basically middle of January to middle of May, went from 0 to live. Now we've got these 100 businesses, and now we're figuring what happens next. And so basically we've got 3 key pillars of the program. The first is that we're trying to meaningfully help them grow their business. So we've given them all access to our SLAP program. We put together a special algorithm to get access to a SLAP loan through our lending platform. We're giving them business resources from different partners to help them, but in a curated way, not just throwing up at them. We'll talk about that in a second, but there's been so many, efforts where people are just throwing stuff at small business. They're overwhelmed. That's not helpful. So we've been trying to be really curated about what we are actually giving them. So that's one piece of it. The second piece is we're just creating fun and joy for them. Tickets to Broadway, free dinner here, this over here, and just trying to curate gifts, moments of joy, moments of relaxation after a weary and long time. And then the third is something that's sort of uniquely New York. We partnered with a duo called Archive, and we are producing 10 concert events around New York City, hiring New York artists to move money into the hands of artists, hosting the 10 events at New York small businesses, selling tickets, and then we're taking 100% of the cash that we earn from those ticket sales and giving them as cash gifts to the 100 winners. So actually creating beautiful experiences, exposing New Yorkers to New York artists and small businesses to attend these concerts, and then using it as a fundraising strategy to actually give cash to all the businesses. So the businesses will all walk away with business support, fun, relaxation, moments of joy, and cash, as well as all the work we're doing to try and raise their profile and encourage New Yorkers to buy from small business.
It's such a great program. I think, talk a little bit about what you learned in your partnership with Spotify in doing this, that really kind of hinted at, oh, there's actually an even richer way to create small business assistance when working with a brand.
Yeah, it's interesting. We sat back and forth 100 times saying, do we try to go get a sponsor for this and then launch it? Do we just launch it and then hope a sponsor comes on board? Do we launch it knowing that if the sponsor doesn't come on board, silver lining will eat the cost? And our thesis and basically everything since March 2020 has been, let's just do the right thing and we'll figure it out. And so we just launched it. We had no commitment from Spotify. We weren't even actually in practical conversations with Spotify till April or May. But credit to Spotify, as the ship was flying quickly, as we were trying to figure it out. And I was so honest with her. We are doing this with zero money. We are doing this with like heart and hustle. And it's really special. And I think it's going to be really amazing. Anything would help us. Do you want to come up? Do you want to be a part of it? Do you want to come on board and be a part of it? And I didn't have a sponsorship deck and I didn't have sponsorship tiers. I said to her, how can you come on board and be a part of it? What can you contribute? Whatever you can do, we'll take it. Let's work together to help these businesses. And credit to Spotify, instead of that being scary to them, or instead of saying, well, give me your deck and then I'll consider it. She's like, that's amazing. Okay, let me go figure out what I can do. Okay, I have this much cash. I can do this much in ad credits. I could promote it in this way. I could give you guys some ad credits to like, and I was like, great, I could take those things and do these 5 things with them. And then what do you need, Rochelle? Well, I need these. Oh, well, I've got this. I could do this for you. And all of a sudden, in 3 hours, we had crafted a partnership that helped me get I Love NYC SMB to the next level, helped her get her message out to the small businesses we know, hopefully done something that together that will help these 100 small businesses and the broader New York community. But it wasn't formulated. It wasn't me pretending I had it all figured out. And it wasn't her waiting for me to have it all figured out and being perfect and then coming in. It was us saying, here's what I got. Here's what you've got. It's probably better together. Let's figure it out. And we put the deal together and the partnership together fast, quickly, and quick and very literally in the agreement, as we talked about in the other session, agreed on the minimum things we would each give each other, but structured it as a 12-month agreement, automatically renewing with huge amount of playground to say, who knows what else we'll come up with, right? Like the fun will come in 3 months or 6 months or 12 months when we've been working together and we can spark new ideas together. So it's been a beautiful partnership, really lovely in every way.
And is one of the lessons that you can create a very rich level of assistance to small businesses through an uncomplicated partnership.
Totally. Yes. Yeah. Go ahead.
No, go ahead. No, you go ahead.
Yeah, I think, how do I say this properly? I'm very rarely at a loss for words. I said this before, but I'll say it again. Our mantra became basically on March 14th of 2021, if we try to business model this, we can't. If we try to financial plan it for the next 6 years, we can't. If we try to justify the decisions we want to make right now against our long-term strategy, we can't. The only thing we can do, our guiding light basically on do we say yes or no, is do we think this is going to help? Do we think it's going to help? Do we think it's going to make a difference? If it's going to help, let's do it and we will figure it out later. And we took tons of risks. I mean, we took tons of risks and didn't have, quite frankly, bucket loads of resources to subsidize that risk. But we always figured it out. And at just the right moment, partners came on board to help us because we were doing the right thing, not because we were fancy and not because we were big and not because we had a perfect pitch deck, but because we were actually doing the right thing. And so I really do believe that the way that we build better partnerships, the way that we do better small business work together is like, let's just do the right thing for the small businesses. Let's stop worrying about our pitch decks and our marketing strategies and our 8-year strategies. Like, what do small businesses need? Let's do that together. And then we'll figure the rest out. It will work out in the end. So that is something I always believed. And I had to test if my value would hold in a pressure cooker that March 2020 delivered us. And I'm proud to say that we did hold to that. And I do believe it is working out. I do believe that the right partners are coming on board and, we're doing the work we're meant to do.
I think it's the antithesis of maybe what historically has been the approach in assisting small business. And that really comes in the form of organizations, advocacy organizations, not-for-profits coming to large brands cap in hand and saying, we need $500,000 to fund this particular initiative that we have planned. Totally. And then on the corporate side, on the enterprise side, there's some committee of evaluators that basically is really conducting a beauty contest on which initiative, not really which initiative, which organization has frankly the sexiest view of that's going to provide us with awareness and goodwill and all the other things. And I think it's unfortunately become too routine on the one side to write a check and on the other side to take a check, and that's it. That's the substance of the relationship. And I think what you demonstrate is that, but there can be so much more. There's so much richer an opportunity, to say the least.
Totally. And I think even to add to that, I would say, right, like our primary initiative is to help small businesses. That's why I'm here. If I'm not helping small businesses, I'm out. I've turned away lots of sponsorship deals where I thought that brand is not actually going to help small businesses. Like I don't want to be associated with them. And so there's this weird power dynamic where I think if you're the organization asking for the funding, you're beholden to the funder's description of what a small business needs and the funder's evaluation of success. And I respect Spotify a lot for this, and some of the other partners we have. They have been so generous with understanding that in our specific instance, in this specific example, we know more about what small business needs than they do. So they don't dictate to me what I should do to help small business to get the funding. They say, you're on the front lines. You're talking to these small businesses every day. You live and eat and breathe and sleep this. What do you need? What do you need? And what do they need? And then how can I help you get that figured out? And that doesn't, so if we could shift this power dynamic and come to the table as equal partners, I always say, Spotify has more money than me. There's no question. Spotify has more resources than me. They've got a more credible brand than I do. But I know more about small business than they do. And I've got more loyal customers in terms of small businesses that will do, what we tell them and who trust us because we protected that with them. And I've got a sense of the market, and I've got really creative ideas about how to solve the needs of small businesses. So we're equal. We're just bringing different things to the table. And so if we can operate in that way where everyone is an equal player, but recognize that we have different things to bring to the table, but you start to put those things together, you can create really magical outcomes quite quickly. It doesn't have to take 4 years in strategic development. You can get to it.
That's fabulous. I hope that what this has demonstrated to everybody watching that this is the reason why our Leaders League and our circle of influencers really said, we've got to nominate these guys because they're extraordinary. So in conclusion, as an award nominee, as a Best to SMB nominee, what do you've been doing this a long time. What are you most proud of at this stage?
When I started Silver Lining, I said we were going to prove that you could flip the success rate of small businesses on its head, right? Everyone just, well, small businesses fail. That's the story. Well, why do small businesses fail? Why? Is it because they're all failures? I doubt it. And so I really was committed to proving that you could shift the success rate of small business. And I was really committed to proving that small businesses are not this like crazy high risk, bad, scary group, but they're amazing. They are deserving of our capital, our time, our resources, our investment. And I made a commitment to myself that I would stay pure to that. I wouldn't get sidetracked by big investment deals or big, corporate sponsorship deals or my own brand. That wasn't why I was doing this. I was doing it to advocate for small businesses and do the work that would prove them right, not me, but them. And I think that March 2020 to March 2021 were particularly challenging. Our revenue went down 80%. Our demand went up 10 times. Everyone was stressed and tired and exhausted. And we stuck to our guns. We stayed pure. We didn't take the deals that would have taken us away from being true to our values. We didn't, bait and switch our pricing policy back after everyone signed up for our program. We've held, it's still pay what you can. It's still that way. Mm-hmm. So I would say that I am most proud of the fact that when it got really hard and when it would have been the moment to fold on our core value of being in it to advocate for small business and be small business first in every decision, we didn't just not cave. We tripled down. We went even further. And our data shows undeniably that when you give a small business the right structure and support, they can succeed. And when you lend based on their behavior, not the systems that are currently at play, you can increase the diversity and the approval rates of small businesses and get your money, back, get repayment back. So I don't think I'm done my journey, but I certainly think that in the last 18 months, any proof I needed for myself and for our team that we are purist in our conviction, mm-hmm. I'm so proud that we are, that is real. It's not a mission statement on our website. It is who we are. And we've got data that proves that small businesses are great investments and that small businesses can succeed and that it's not them. It might actually be us out here that need to think about how we're operating and if what we're doing is really working.
Well, I, for one, am proud of you. I'm proud to know you. You are one of my heroes, and I just can't tell you how much I appreciate you taking the time to do this. Congratulations again, and congratulations to the team. And hopefully it does cast a long, bright light down to the team to say, hey, look, we got recognized. We didn't do this, in a closet in a 1-bedroom apartment in New York City.
in a literal closet. I will say this, I know we're wrapping up, but the final thing I'll say is a massive shout out to our team. And just to give everyone perspective, right? Our team lives in countries around the world. We're a fully remote team. We were far before COVID. Everyone on our executive team took a 40% pay cut. Our middle management took a 30% pay cut. And then we protected our most junior level people so they wouldn't have to take a pay cut. We had a staff meeting where we basically said, we're either going to have to lay some people off to make slap pay what you can, or we're all going to have to take pay cuts. 100% of people voted to take pay cuts in exchange for making sure everyone kept their jobs. They showed up to work every day. They were so passionate. They were so committed. I have never been so impressed and proud of a group of humans as that small collective of people from every country you can imagine who came together around this work. And so I'm proud of this nomination for that reason, that it is the group of people that are so often unsung in countries that we often write off, who got that nomination, who did that work, 20 of them at the time of COVID in India and Nigeria and the Philippines and Colombia and Mexico and Canada and Sweden and the US. That's who got that nomination. That's the best part of the story.
It is the best part of the story. Fantastic. All right. I appreciate you.
Thanks, David. I appreciate you too. Appreciate it.
Take care. Bye.